Now, I'm saying that to say, hey, yo, I come in peace, all right? My name is Robert Wagner. I passed the mic because officers were at Omaha Day and they wouldn't speak. So I came in here and chose not to speak. Officers were telling women to shut up. So I told Captain Matuza to shut up. Am I wrong for that? My point is, I listen to everything that goes on. My ears to the street. Every week you guys come here. It's great. I respect everybody in here. I pretty much spoke to everyone personally. Some people I don't know, I've never seen before. I feel like I have a great relationship with Deputy Chief Kanger. What I saw Friday night, to me, was embarrassing. What I saw Saturday night was embarrassing. And I was down there with my girlfriend. A gang unit officer told me to keep walking, one foot in front of the other, like I don't know how to walk. What am I, a monkey or something? I know how to walk. But that's how we were treated. And I know everybody has a story about what happened at Omaha Day. Some people had a great time. That's fabulous. But there's some women in here that were insulted and disrespected by your guys. They were told to shut up. They were hit with mace for no reason. Most women had on heels. They get dressed, they come down to have a good time and congregate. How many of those shooters were intoxicated? Captain Matuza? Were those shooters intoxicated?
Probably.
Oh, probably, but no tests were done or anything?
There's a few tests done.
Well, you made a statement saying alcohol level goes up, so you guys
I
decided to shut.
guarantee everyone involved in the fights and the shootings
So
were
you guys decided to
intoxicated.
shut things down early, and I
Robert,
understand
if
that.
I may interrupt, we talked earlier
Shut
Saturday
up.
night, just to, that's
Shut
a
up.
peace offering, hold on. We talked, stop me if I'm wrong.
You're
but-
gonna cut me off, Matuza?
What's
I
that?
thought this was a community setting.
It is, but I'm holding you off right now, let me respond to what you just said. We spoke earlier before that incident happened with you, and I approached you and I let you know what's going on, because that's the sort of thing that we do, we communicate with the community. I said, Robert, this is what I.
Right, and what did I have in
Hold
my
on,
hand?
Robert.
No. I had food in my
You're
hand.
running the show here, you wanna come up here and.
I just purchased some food. I had food in my hand. I was waiting across the street. You had
No,
people
I'm
with,
talking about before that, we were communicating.
we communicated fine.
Huh?
We
You didn't bring
communicated
that up.
fine until you
You
guys
didn't bring
instructed
that
me
up.
how I should walk down the street.
Okay,
I know how to walk down the street, okay? Just like everybody else in here.
yeah,
I can walk fine.
you made your point.
I'm waiting on the light. Your guy tells me, one foot in front of the other, let's go. I'm holding food. I'm with my woman. What problem am I causing?
It's
But
3 in
that
the
easily
morning,
could've been-
it's 3 in the morning, we're dispersing people, and that included you.
I'm leaving. You don't have to disperse.
And then I
I'm
explained
leaving.
that to you before, right after the shooting, I said, Robert, this is what we got.
And I
said,
told
we
you
just had a shooting, out of
I
respect
was
to
right
you.
there.
Out of
One
respect to you.
second, if we could. Robert, if we could. If anybody has individual complaints about specific officer
Hey, this is what
actions.
we always go through. This is what we always go
But
through.
there's a process. I mean, this
Right,
meeting is
we know the
for
process.
a lot of different things, but specific things.
This is a weekly community meeting.
I understand, and I'm not saying, I'm glad you brought up the point. It is for the community. We're happy
Right.
to answer those things, and Captain
If you're
Matuza has
not
done
for the
that.
community, get up and walk out. Bye.
No,
Is
I
the
mean,
procedure for dispersing our community normally to threaten people with mace and pepper spray and whistles and?
Okay, and I know those things happen, and we talked a little bit before the meeting, and I called you today to try and talk some of these things out, and I understand that.
It's
What Captain
aggressive.
Matuza is talking about is that we did see an increased level of activity as the night grew later. And there were fights, there were shootings within hundreds of people. Our responsibility is not only for those individuals that are causing that criminal action, but everybody else that was there. And we don't want some, just 1 second, please.
But when you
And
have
some,
peaceful officers
sometimes we have to
with a
use.
military mindset staring at people, maybe they should have been spread out more.
Maybe.
Maybe there wouldn't have been guns. Maybe there wouldn't have been.
Well-
But when you're pretty much giving people a hard time for nothing,
Well,
maybe that gang member with the gun's gonna walk past you.
I don't know that they were giving, I don't know that they were giving people a hard time for nothing. The end of the day is, well, listen, the end of the day is, we can't say, all right, you three go because you're causing trouble, everybody else can stay. And the fact that it's 2 o'clock in the morning, at some point, we have to shut the event down. Everybody has to go. I mean, that's just the way it is. We've had to disperse, unfortunately, Pepperball in the old market because people wouldn't disperse. We've had to do it at other events because we ask people, you have to go. And because, not that you're gonna cause the problem, but there could be other people that are there, and we can't spend the time to differentiate, all right, you're causing a problem, you're not. It's just time for everybody to go. We want everybody to be safe, and we want it to end on a good note, like Captain Tudor said. We're happy to try to answer some of these questions. I don't know that you want this forum to just be about Native Omaha Days. I know the chief, Deputy Chief Gray, and myself would be happy to have some folks come down to the station, and we can talk about it a little bit more than that. But I will tell you, I mean, I was down there for the parade. I was down there the majority of Saturday night with these folks. 95% of everybody that was down there had a remarkable time, and the compliments that we got and we gave were fantastic. There were some individuals that went down there. There were some individuals that were on their way down there with guns that were arrested before they even got there. And we did everything that we possibly could to try to make sure that the dangers and the crime was down, that everybody could have a good time. But at the end of the day, at some point in time, the event and the venue is over. I mean, we go a long ways with folks drinking, you know, and things of that nature, trying to make sure that they understand the rules and the laws, but they still have a safe time. And we're absolutely open to everybody's comments and things. And so we try to make it as safe as possible. The other thing that we always do on these events, Robert and everybody else, is we do after action. And I received the gang units after action today. And we're gonna debrief, and then we're gonna work with the committee, we're gonna work with the folks involved and find out how we can do it even better 2 years from now. Because that's what we want, for everybody to have a good time.
There was a line set up and people weren't even allowed to walk. People were stumbling over each other. I was. Because they made a line.
And I appreciate your concerns. I appreciate you bringing it down.
I didn't see an issue. 15 didn't see an issue. 17 didn't see an issue.
Well, I was down there for all those too, and with all due respect, a lot of times, there was a few times there where Pepperball had to be dispersed. There were a few times there where I had to tell people, it's time to go. People that weren't causing problems.
Blatant disrespect. That's the only reason why I'm here, Ken.
I understand that, and if there are specific,
videos.
Can I just
So here's the thing.
Let's hear from other people.
We'll stay after for comments, but right now we're going to continue with the meeting because we have an agenda as well. So we can stay after and listen to those things.
Ask everybody if we have any questions. So they're asking questions.
I just want to mention one thing, everybody. If this is your first time here, just raise your hand because I do want to just see if this is your first time. Okay, thank you so much. One thing, my name is Vicki Quates-Ferris. I work with Ricky with the Empowerment Network. One thing about this meeting is that we do want to make it so that you do have a place, you do have an opportunity to voice any concerns that you have. For those of you who did not have, who had an experience that was not positive, we do want to hear from you so that we can see how can we improve upon the things that you saw this year. How can we improve upon those things in the next 2 years? And I think that's what we're here about. We want to make sure that we hear you. Robert, I'm appreciative that you're here. I think one thing that I'm hearing that you're saying is in terms of disrespect. That's one thing that continues to come up. There's others of you that are here that may have had an ill will experience over the past week. So the thing that I want us to focus on is, yes, share those concerns, but also what are some of the things that we can do to improve upon for 2021. So we're about what are the issues, what are the concerns, but then also what are some things that you feel that maybe we can think about putting in place some systems so that we can improve upon those things.
And I want to suggest also that the Mayor's Citizen Complaint Review Board is for things exactly like this. There is a process, and I'm on that board for that reason, because I work with people in prison, I work with people on the street, and I work with the Omaha Police Department. So I don't have a slanted, I'm for the people. And it's been my experience that we on the board don't get a lot of complaints because the chief has smashed them. So I know, I mean, really, people got fired.
Yeah.
So I
know
know that's the truth. And so if you would help us, help individuals get those names, get those numbers, get those individuals who are causing the problem so that they can be addressed. Because I feel what you're saying. I was a victim on the other side simply because at the Omaha Days Parade, somebody pinned me in my parking spot while my grandson sitting there was having an asthma attack. So the Omaha Police Department bailed us out so he didn't freaking die. So there's two different ways that you can look at everything, but I know that there's a Citizens Complaint Review Board, because I'm on it. We're gonna review a case like in 2 weeks. And so please, we need to know these people. We need to know these folk that said shut up. We need to know these people that touched you and treated you inappropriately. We have all been on that side, but we need to know. So we can't, we can't get after everybody.
Yeah, and I want
when
to know
we
as
don't
well,
know.
Robert, too, but when we
We
talk
wanna
about
know.
generalities, and these cops, all these cops, we can't throw them in the same boat and just say all these cops are disrespectful and all these cops need to be reprimanded.
We're right here.
You bring up a good point, too.
So with the process.
So again, if this is your first time, one of the things that we do is we have a Northeast Precinct report that we hear about. We also listen about what is it that we can do in this room that can be of assistance to what we're hearing. So if there's some activities that's taking place in a particular area, what is it that we can do to try to dispel some things that are happening? We also have a Northwest Precinct report.
Can we
as
share
well.
our comment really fast?
Yeah, I just want to set the tone in terms of if this is your first time, because we don't want to just see you at this point. We want
Can
to
we go
see
ahead
you.
and hear her now though? Because she's been waiting and I think we kind of get the tone and we just want to hear what you have to say.
Hi everyone, my name is Elise Washington, and I try to be positive with everyone I encounter. Not only Omaha days, but when I see an officer in Quick Trip, if their frowns up or if they're tense, I'm like, hey, loosen up, smile, how are you doing? I do think that officers should speak to individuals personally, without us having to always speak to them. That gives you an open window to say, you're welcome.
Totally agree.
It's very welcoming.
Totally
To
agree.
like, hey, how you doing? I'm always saying, hey, how you doing? I interacted with a lot of officers during Omaha Native. Most were positive, except for on Sunday night. When I left out of Jesse's, they were in a line, about 10 or 11 of them, standing up like this. That's very aggressive to me, coming out of the bar. I don't know what happened on the outside. I was on the inside. But when you came out, I come out, hey, what's going on? Why are y'all looking like that? Loosen up a little bit. Shut up and keep going.
Well,
Shut up.
That's a
Or
problem.
you're gonna be arrested.
That's a
Why
problem.
am I gonna be arrested, officer? I haven't done anything. I'm asking you a question. I'm trying to find out, why are you on high alert like we have somebody about the bombers or something? That's how I got it. I tensed up and said, well, you know what? Alrighty then. And I kept walking. Did I fear about being arrested? No, but I was threatened.
Okay. Like Tila talked about, you can file a complaint. I had 60, 70 officers down there, so we do get bad apples, no doubt, as we had a few bad apples down at the actual event, so. And those few bad
We're happy
apples
to look at
spoil it for
all the
all.
officers, almost all of them had body worn cameras. We look at that, the after action, all that stuff. But understand, if they look tense, there had been 5 shootings over, like Captain Matuza had talked about. There had been over 5 or 6 guns that had been taken out of there. And that's why we were shutting it down early Sunday. We didn't want another shooting. We didn't want any more gun incidents. We wanted it to be safe and nobody to get hurt. And we wanted to do it the best way that we possibly could. And that's some of the things that's going
Communication's everything too. So communication is everything, so we weren't aware of everything being shut down at 1 o'clock.
That's why we had the community leaders come down and spread the word.
as
We
best
didn't
we
get
could.
that. I didn't
Okay,
get
well, I
that.
apologize for that.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying, we didn't get that memo, and so we're like, shut down, 2 o'clock, how can this be? And so we're questioning like, something going on, what's going on, you know? So communication is everything, and I really do believe that the officers need to be more friendly, not even Omaha Day, just with interactions, period. I have kids all the time, I'm talking to them, they don't approach me like, hey, how you doing? Some of them do, but most of them don't. And I will start getting badge numbers down. I couldn't get badges on Sunday because I was threatened to hurry up and shut up and go. So I couldn't. And
So I totally agree with you. In our briefing that we have, we stress professionalism, patience, and engagement. It's just like, don't be afraid to walk up, shake somebody's hand, and engage people. And and I can speak for myself and other people in this room, but sometimes, yeah, you get some guys that aren't the most social in the world, and that needs to improve. You totally have a point there, no doubt about it. But in regards to the communication that night, that's why I reached out to the community leaders on Sunday to get the word on, so it wouldn't be that big of a surprise that we're closing things down. And I actually spoke to the owner, Jessie. She's very accommodating, and great gal there, great security, very pro-police. And I thought we got the message out, because there wasn't a ton of people compared to like Friday and Saturday. I thought Ben Gray and everyone else got the message.
I spoke with you, I think Thursday.
Sure.
And told you how one of the officers, it was a lady here that was from Mississippi, and you know, the officers were trying to shut the area down or whatnot. She was sitting in her chair. She was an older lady. She was sitting in her chair, you know, just stood up, basically trying to get her chair together. And you know, they're like, "Get out of here! Get your ass out of here! It's time to go." They're shutting it down, you know. And I spoke with you then about how all of the officers, she basically said she had no idea what time, you know, Omaha Day was ending. She hasn't been here in years, and so on. And your officer clearly told her, "I don't care where you from, get your stuff and go." So when I spoke with you on Thursday, she doesn't even live here. But when I spoke with you on Thursday, I spoke with you about that situation and the rudeness of the officers at that time. Well, going back down there Friday, we were still met with the same aggression, not just when it's time to close Omaha Day down, but when you walk past your officers, you feel threatened. You have a whole line, and we came here so everybody here could hear it, not just sit in a room after the meeting is over. We came here so everybody could hear that May wasn't down there after 10 or 11 or 11:30. You feel threatened. I don't see officers like that anywhere else. They are in a line up against the barricades, and they have their pepper ball guns out, and they're looking at us as well as we're looking at them. I'm 44. I'm not toting a gun around, but I shouldn't be threatened or feel threatened by an officer when I walk past one either, because I'm not doing anything, along with the other probably 350 people over here that are either my age, maybe a year or two younger, or maybe a year or two older, that are not even bothering anybody. I understand that you have, of course, gang members or a designated crowd that might start trouble or may always start trouble, but you cannot have a crowd of officers, just like Ulysses, you cannot have a crowd of officers that even when you try to speak and ask what the situation is, that you are met with aggression at all times. And that's all the time, not just even Omaha Day. Omaha Day was the worst that I've ever seen it, because I don't see it in Benson Days. I don't see it at the College World Series. I don't see it at other parades, I don't see it then. But Omaha Days, as a grown adult that was not shooting anyone, not toting a gun around, not bothering, I felt threatened. I felt threatened. And there's no reason for the officers to treat us that way.
In our briefings that same night that we're not gonna be, I'm getting complaints about that. We need to improve on our.
But I can't give you a complaint on each officer.
Well, I'm getting varying, responses in regards to how officers, I got some people saying that your officers were amazing.
I mean, I've seen some officers, I even spoke with some myself that didn't cause any trouble, that weren't rude.
Yeah, so I'm getting.
But your majority that line up in the middle of the street, because we're African Americans, we feel threatened.
I just had a comment in regards to, Captain Sousa, I appreciate you taking my call Friday morning, after the incident when we saw the comments on Facebook. But I would just suggest going forward that this is when you say we contact the community leaders that you contacted, which no problem with that, but they don't have a social media following. You need to start contacting more of the neighborhood groups as well as the different groups who can actually send out that word saying, hey guys, we're getting word that
It was
It's
an
gonna be closed
improv sort of thing. So-
That's, but
And that's a great suggestion.
this is what I'm talking about in terms of solutions. And so I appreciate that in terms of what is it that we can do in the future.
That's a good idea, because I should have I have your number already.
Well, I mean, it could be anybody, I mean, anybody here for 360,
Well,
I mean, that email blast could have
Well,
been.
that's why we had people from 360 that knew about it, so they could network out and get the word out. I think they got a pretty good network system, 360 that is. Go ahead.
I just had a really quick question, just the way my mind works. I'm just wondering what kind of, debriefing can be done after this. I know, Henry just talked about a report that's submitted or whatever. What kind of debrief can happen that includes community leaders, whoever the organizers are, the police, the NAACP, whoever, where, we can talk about better ways to do this and communicate in the future. As far as the aggression and whatnot, I'm not even gonna comment on that because I have definitely experienced it. I don't even wanna go there, we know it exists for whatever reason. But, and I'm gonna be getting about it here in a second, but what kind of real sort of debriefing can be done to kind of hash out what went well, but definitely what can go better next time? Can we do that? I'd be happy to participate in that in any fashion. I know I don't live in North Omaha, but I stomp over here all day long. So, I'd be happy to help out with that, but I think that sitting down and kind of talking this out might assist with that.
I agree.
But I would just, be happy to help out in any way I can. I don't know answers, but I'm willing to sit down and try to help come up with.
I think Willie and Vicky have set that up.
Okay, also, just for people who try to, compare events in the city of Omaha, I don't just live and work in North Omaha. I'm also a board member of Cinco de Mayo. Quit trying to compare Native Omaha days to Cinco de Mayo. Cinco de Mayo closes. Let me talk. No, because I remember when you called.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, I remember when you called and you tried to compare. Can I say something, please?
Please be quiet back there. Let her talk, please.
Just go ahead, very.
I'm just trying to say something right now. I'm a part of Native Omaha Days Committee. I'm a part of Cinco de Mayo. I'm with Benson, so it really hurts and irritates me that you guys figure that you can tell the police department how they're supposed to act, okay? You're not gonna know about warrant searches. You're not gonna know about what just happened because you did come out of justice. They do not have time to explain to the community how they're trying to keep you safe. I did not agree to be recorded. Willie normally have people ask if they want to be recorded, but I'm trying to tell people, quit trying to act like it's a black and white or a cops versus us thing, and work for better solutions. Like I said, I'm part of the committee. Yes, I work for OPD, but what you guys are doing today is really senseless. It's really senseless. Oh, no, I can tell you because I know. Because she started with me.
Yeah, no, I didn't start with you. All I said was that's what Vicky agreed to when I spoke to her.
And also,
Native Omaha Days to be like the
also
other
say
event.
that people pointed
I didn't
out
compare
against
that,
you.
Vicky did.
Our officers wear body cameras. Everybody in Omaha is talking about they wanted body cameras. You got body cameras. Then you come out because you're asked to leave at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, and you figure, I don't have to do anything. You're upset because, oh, I don't know what's going on with the police department. You're not gonna know everything that's going on. Trust and believe they're trying to keep
You just missed the
safe.
whole point of all of this.
Nobody
I
asked
didn't
me.
miss it.
There's no reason to
I
argue.
didn't miss the point.
No reason to argue.
You're very aggressive.
We appreciate, hey, we appreciate everybody's opinion, and that's what these forums are about. Kamara brought up a great point.
We all have our opinions here.
Thank you for your input. And when I did mention about the other events that were going on, I was mentioning about the vendor, the application process and whatnot. So we are trying to give that in order in terms of all of the other events that are taking place, in terms of the food inspections and whatnot. So I was referring to that. And what's your name? Because I was talking to you?
Yeah, you spoke to me, I'm Jovina. And I was just basically letting her know, like, she's like, you're comparing the two. First of all, Vicky's the one that actually brought up the different events and wanted them to be like this.
but you can't compare the events because they're all different events. And when I spoke of it, I meant when I go down to Cinco de Mayo, which I've never been to, but when I go to Benson Days, I don't see 30 cops lying in the middle of the street up against barricades with their pepper ball guns out. That's how I was comparing it. I don't know what the police department looks for when they look for warrant searches or whatever it is that you were saying when you were so aggressive.
Okay.
That's not what I was
Let's
speaking
move
of
on.
at all.
I do want to capture this young lady's input.
Hi everybody, my name is Candace, and this is my first time here, so thank you for explaining that. I have two situations for Omaha Days. Myself and two female friends went down, of course, having fun. One of my friends noticed that the police officers had billy clubs. So she said, I just have to ask. So my other friend and I said, just make sure you're appropriate when you ask them, when you approach them. And she did ask him, and his response was, well, do you prefer billy clubs or guns? So any person of color in here, billy clubs should not make you comfortable. It brings back memories of getting beat, and so that was interesting. Our second experience that we had that was negative with the police officers is when it was time to go. We were leaving, we were walking. One of the officers said, hey, blue dress, you need to keep it moving. And I was the blue dress. And I let him know that he can address me by Candace. And he said, okay, Candace, it's time to go. I said, thank you for that. And we kept walking. As we were walking, a similar situation, like Ms. Washington stated, there were about 11 police officers behind 3 females. We are not in a gang. We're not shooting. We're just trying to have fun. And we all have to go to work in the morning. They proceeded to walk behind us in a line. I don't know if they were the whatever paint guns or whatever they were, but their fingers were on the trigger. And they just said, you guys need to keep it going. You guys need to keep it going. We're like, we're walking. You don't need to get smart, just keep it going. We're just trying to leave. But I believe really what bothered me was the billy club reaction. I just felt like, and we also noticed that the officers of color did not have billy clubs. So it was interesting. And again, like I said, every person of color in here, when you think about billy clubs, you should get uncomfortable. And if they're walking around with billy clubs, and if they're walking around with guns, well, I could get these. For what? Because I got on a blue dress. You know, what is the reason for the aggressive responses? What's the reason? We're just trying to have fun. We're not aggressive to the police officers, because we know what they're doing. I could sneeze and get smacked and get slapped, you know. So, what is the reason for the aggressiveness? We understand that there does have to be some type of aggressiveness for the people that are down there starting trouble, shooting, stabbing. I actually, unfortunately, had witnessed the stabbing, the fight and the stabbing. And that's what we don't want. Like, we don't enjoy it either. But what is the reason for the aggressiveness?
What time of night were you leaving?
This was on Sunday. And no, we weren't aware that they were closing early, and that's fine, because we know the police don't have time to explain every little thing to us.
If it's at 1 o'clock, that's the reason why we're just walking too far.
Right, I understand that. And then there was also a young man with a pet monkey. About the same line of police officers approached him. He just was sitting on his car, and they said, "Oh, what you got there?" And he said, "You know, it's a pet monkey." And they said, "Oh, okay, well, you need to get that up out of here." Again, 11 police officers in a line by a male of color, and very close to him with their hands on the trigger. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know this guy became a pain. I only stood next to him, you know. And that's the feeling that you get. Thank you.
And that's the only reason why we came today, because it is a community meeting, and these are things that happen. Y'all probably didn't get these calls and texts and emails and messages on Facebook, but I got a ton of videos where I'm watching, I'm like, that ain't quite right. You know, and normally I do call kids. He'll call me all hours of the night. He called me on vacation and said, "What's wrong, Robert?" So we're not against the police. Anybody that thinks that, I don't know what to tell you. We've never been against the police. I walked out of jail in 2012. Yeah, we interrupted Chief Martin swearing in, but it was to tell him, we're gonna watch, you're on notice. And the man has done an excellent job since he got his badge put on. Tanger's done an excellent job. Matuza's done an excellent job. But yes, like Ms. Tila said, it just takes one experience, good or bad.
And I'm glad that each and every one of you, especially
Thank
if it's
you,
your
Rob.
first time that's here, I really appreciate you being here, because every Wednesday, at what time? 2 o'clock, they're here. And so even if you can't be here at 2 o'clock, you know if you've got something pressing that has happened to you, not only do you have to come here, but like Tila said, there is another way that you can actually notify folks about the things that you have experienced, and there is another process as well. And so again, we all want to make sure that we're communicating, because that's the other thing that I've heard too. We can amp up our communication skills. Things that need to be out there in the community, taking advantage of those who have multiple followings of folks on social media. How can we then get to you so that you can get that word out? Sometimes things happen and it's a click of the moment and you've got to get that information out there. The other thing that I think that Captain Kanger, Deputy Chief, okay, I think I already knew me. But you and Souza and several others that are here in terms of on the law enforcement, and even Wayne Hudson, I don't know what your title is. Captain Wayne Hudson. The Sheriff's Department. I mean, these are law enforcement folks that need to hear, because sometimes they're somewhere else and then it's their folks that are taking control of situations. Somebody say improvement. Somebody say improvement. We can all improve on what we're doing. And so I think what they're hearing is that things can be improved, even if it's in place. There's some things that need to be improved. Because again, when you're trying to smile and you're trying to just kind of, jolly and gab with an officer, and, they have just maybe come out of a situation, you don't know it, but they're stumped. They're like, they're like this. And all she's trying to do is just kind of like, hi, how are you? Without knowing the in-between. Yet at the same time, should that make a difference to her? No. She's just trying to be nice. Because again, when you talk about community, working with law enforcement and so on and so forth, it's got to be both. But at the same time, we can do some things a little bit better, and that's what we've heard. And so I think what we've heard is that law enforcement, Omaha Police Department, Sheriff's Department is going to go back and look at how some things were done. And they will go back to their folks and they will say, okay, here's what we heard. So you can hear two sides of the story. So the community will actually step up as well. And so again, when you talk about what is law enforcement going to do, the community, we can do some things better as well. So it's both A and B. It's like a record. You have an A side and you have a B side. So in terms of the community, what we have to do is be respectful as well to law enforcement. Law enforcement needs to be respectful of us.
So a little bit of perspective from law enforcement.
And so,
just real quick, I just want to add on real quick. When we talk about a shooting in the middle of all those people, 2 shootings, 3 shootings, it can be traumatizing for a younger officer. I remember guys are just like getting on the ground, and then they're expected to go to work the next day, and unfortunately they're not happy and cheery like they were before. So some of these things, that's why we have this mental health thing going on. Such a huge issue with our police officers, because we're not above and beyond. This affects, we're human, this affects everybody. You see cutting in the middle of the street, things of that sort. So go ahead.
So I hope that 95% of you, if not 99, had a very, within 7 days, had a very positive experience with Native Omaha Days. The whole purpose of it is to bring those who used to live here, who have come back to really celebrate being from North Omaha and just to experience and celebrate and be with family. That's really what it is. The founders, Betty McDonald, Vera Jackson, when they started this 40-something years ago, I mean, that was the whole vision of it. And now what we want to do is to elevate it and take it to the next level. Yet at the same time, there's some things that we can all do to improve upon what took place this year. And so again, when we talk about what can the community do, when we're asked to do something, let's go ahead and do it. Maybe we'll hear it on the news that night, and maybe it was something that took place that they're telling us to leave. Because there is something that's taking place and there is something that's happening. I was down there at 2:30 in the morning as well, when pepper mace was sprayed and when things were happening. I was in the midst of it as well. So I don't want you to think that, you know, you're talking about something that I wasn't there. Yes, I was there in the morning as well. And so again, let's all see what we can do to do better. Communication is simply and it absolutely is the key. So in 2021, mark your calendar, because Native Omaha Days will be back. And I think we will be back with a vengeance. That's a good vengeance. So we'll be back. But in the meantime, there are some other activities and there's some other events that's gonna take place even yet this year. And we don't want to have a repeat of, you know, folks thinking that, you know, those officers are coming in and it's just isolated to North Omaha. But you know what? Experience is real. What you feel is real, and we don't want to lessen that as well. So again, I appreciate everybody that has been here today, that has shared your comments, because I've written some things down. I know others have written some things down, and so we will do some things a little bit different, most certainly. Ricky, I'm gonna turn it back over to you because I know our time is up. But again, we are here every Wednesday at 2 o'clock. We always end with prayer. We start out with prayer, we end with prayer. And for those of you, if this is your first time, come on back, because again, I want you to be part of the solution and things that we can do to make Omaha a great Omaha, but more importantly, make North Omaha a great North Omaha. Somebody say amen on that. Amen. All right.
And we're happy from the police department to continue these conversations, whether it's phone calls, another meeting with the chief when he's back. The chief was down there, DC Gray was down there Friday, I was down there Saturday night. We try to get down there and be involved with everybody so we have a good understanding of what's going on. So don't hesitate to call. We can set up a meeting if you want and have further discussions, but we do appreciate your feedback. Thanks, Vicki.
So here's my information is, you can call me, email me, I'll set it up. The community leaders that are here, you have my information. Call me, text me, email me, we can set it up and do the same thing, or we can have a different form or format. But again, community, you wanna come out, continue to come out, reach out, let me know what's going on so we can fix some of these things. Let's just not complain, let's be about solutions. Absolutely. 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 So, I'm not going to close my meeting because I had a presentation that was set up. So we're going to go ahead and do the mental health presentation. But if you want to meet with some of the officers outside, you are welcome to go and speak with them at this time, and we can take information. Ms. Tila, if you want us to go out there and get complaint stuff, you can do that as well. But we're going to continue with the presentation. If you have to leave because I know you got to go to work, you can do that. But we're going to honor our mental health presentation.